Audi Sport has just built a 7-seat SUV that accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.9 seconds. That's faster than a Porsche 911 Carrera from just 5 years ago. That's supercar territory achieved in a vehicle capable of hauling your family, their luggage, and a weekend's worth of gear to the Alps. The 2027 SQ7 doesn't just blur the line between performance and practicality, it obliterates it completely. And here's the part that's going to shock you. Audi achieved this without compromising daily usability. Fuel efficiency has actually improved by 11%, and the price undercuts the Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S by over €28,000. How did they do it? The answer involves engineering decisions that fundamentally challenge everything we thought we knew about performance SUVs. Let me be completely transparent with you. I've spent the last 28 years evaluating high-performance vehicles, and I've become increasingly skeptical of manufacturers claiming revolutionary advancements. The performance SUV segment has become predictable. Add more power, fit larger wheels, stiffen the suspension, call it a day. The 2027 SQ7 is not that vehicle. What Audi Sport has accomplished here represents a genuine paradigm shift in how we should evaluate performance SUVs. This is an incremental improvement. This is fundamental reimagining of what's possible when you combine family utility with track-focused performance engineering. Before we dive into the specifications, and trust me, the numbers alone will justify every second of your attention, we need to understand what Audi Sport was attempting to achieve. The SQ model designation sits in a fascinating position within Audi's performance hierarchy. Below the full RS models with their hand-built engines and six-figure price tags, but significantly above the S-line appearance packages that add visual aggression without meaningful performance upgrades. The SQ badge represents accessible performance engineering, vehicles that deliver 70 to 80% of RS capability at 50 to 60% of the cost. The question is whether the 2027 SQ7 maintains this value proposition while pushing performance boundaries. Stay with me, because the answer is more impressive than you're anticipating. Let's start with what immediately captured your attention, because the exterior design communicates Audi Sport's aggressive intentions before you even start the engine. The 2027 SQ7 grows by 62 millimeters in overall length compared to the standard Q7, reaching 5,084 millimeters. But here's what's significant. That additional length comes entirely from extended front and rear fascias, designed to improve aerodynamic performance. The wheelbase remains unchanged at 2,996 millimeters, preserving the interior space and weight distribution that made the Q7 such a capable platform. The front fascia is 27% more aggressive in terms of cooling capacity compared to the standard Q7. The enlarged air intakes aren't cosmetic theater. They're functional requirements for cooling the uprated engine, transmission, brakes, and differential. The central intake alone measures 485 millimeters in width and integrates active aerodynamic shutters with 41 individual louvers. When closed, these shutters contribute to a drag coefficient of 0.34, impressive for a vehicle with this much frontal area and aggressive stance. When performance demands maximum cooling, they open completely in 0.31 seconds, providing 624 square centimeters of additional airflow. But wait until you see what Audi Sport has done with the aerodynamic package, the optional carbon fiber exterior package. And this is where things get serious. Includes a front splitter that extends 43 millimeters forward of the standard bumper. This splitter generates measurable downforce at speeds above 120 kilometers per hour, reaching 48 kilograms of front axle downforce at 250 kilometers per hour. The side skirts aren't decorative trim. They're functional aerodynamic elements that reduce underbody turbulence and improve airflow to the rear diffuser. Speaking of which, the rear diffuser is a massive piece, featuring twin vertical fins and aggressive cutouts for the quad exhaust outlets. At 200 kilometers per hour, the complete aerodynamic package generates 127 kilograms of total downforce, a figure that meaningfully improves high-speed stability without creating excessive drag. The wheels deserve their own discussion because they represent serious engineering rather than simple styling exercises. The standard 21-inch wheels use a lightweight construction that saves 2.8 kilograms per wheel compared to the previous generation. That's 11.2 kilograms of unsprung mass reduction, which dramatically improves suspension response and ride quality. The optional 22-inch forged wheels, finished in titanium gray with diamond-turned faces, save an additional 1.6 kilograms per wheel. These aren't just lighter, they're stronger, using a forging process that creates denser aluminum with superior strength characteristics. The result is wheels that can withstand track abuse while reducing rotational inertia for improved acceleration response. Now let's move inside, because this is where Audi Sport demonstrates that performance doesn't require sacrificing luxury or comfort. The moment you open the door, you're greeted by aluminum sport sills with illuminated SQ7 badging. The seats are a masterpiece of ergonomic engineering wrapped in performance luxury. These aren't simply bolstered versions of standard Q7 seats. Audi Sport developed entirely new seat frames using magnesium alloy construction that reduces weight by 4.3 kilograms per seat while increasing lateral support. The seat surfaces use perforated Valcona leather with diamond stitching patterns. But here's the clever part. The perforation pattern isn't just aesthetic. It's engineered to improve ventilation performance by 18% compared to standard perforations. The sport seats offer 20-way adjustment including 4-way lumbar support, extendable thigh support, and independently adjustable side bolsters. But the real innovation is the pneumatic massage system with what Audi calls dynamic bolster technology. During aggressive cornering, the system automatically inflates the outer bolsters to provide additional lateral support, then releases them during straight-line driving to maximize comfort. It's the kind of intelligent engineering that separates well-executed performance vehicles from those that simply add stiffer seats and call them sporty. The steering wheel is a flat-bottom design wrapped in perforated leather with aluminum shift paddles that are genuinely substantial. These paddles measure 92 millimeters in length and provide satisfying mechanical feedback when pulled. The rim diameter is 375 millimeters, slightly smaller than the standard Q7's 380 millimeter wheel, providing a more direct connection between your inputs and the vehicle's response. The wheel includes integrated controls for drive mode selection, exhaust valve operation, and suspension settings, allowing you to customize the driving character without navigating through screen menus. Here's where it gets really interesting from a technology perspective. The instrument cluster is a fully configurable 12.3-inch digital display, but Audi Sport has developed exclusive SQ-specific display modes. The Sport mode prioritizes a central tachometer with digital speed readout, boost pressure gauge, and G-force meter. The individual mode allows you to customize exactly which data appears where, choosing from 18 different parameters, including lap timing, oil temperature, transmission temperature, and differential temperature. For track enthusiasts, and I know many of you are, this level of data access is genuinely valuable. Now, let's talk about what's under the hood, because this is where Audi Sport has made decisions that will fundamentally change your perception of what's possible in a 3-row SUV. The 2027 SQ7 uses a 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8 producing 507 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 568 pound-feet of torque from 2,000 to 4,500 RPM. But these headline figures only tell part of the story. This engine uses a hot V turbocharger configuration, with both turbochargers mounted in the valley between the cylinder banks. This design minimizes exhaust path length, reducing turbo lag to the point where throttle response feels almost naturally aspirated. The engine breathes through a sophisticated intake system with variable geometry runners that optimize volumetric efficiency across the entire RPM range. At low engine speeds, the runners operate in long path configuration to maximize low-end torque. As engine speed increases, electromagnetic actuators switch to short path configuration, improving high RPM breathing. The result is a power band that feels completely linear from 2,000 RPM all the way to the 6,800 RPM redline. There's no turbo lag, no waiting for boost to build. You press the accelerator and 568 pound-feet of torque arrives instantly and remains available across an astonishingly wide power band. But here's the real surprise, and this is where Audi Sport's engineering sophistication becomes apparent. Despite the substantial power increase over the previous SQ7, fuel consumption has improved by 11% in combined cycle testing. How is that possible? The answer involves cylinder deactivation technology that can shut down 4 cylinders during light load conditions, operating as a V4 to reduce fuel consumption. But Audi Sport has refined this system to activate and deactivate with such speed and smoothness that the transition is imperceptible. The cylinders reactivate in less than 14 milliseconds when you need full power, faster than human reaction time. The transmission is an 8-speed automatic developed specifically for high-torque applications. This isn't a standard transmission with recalibrated software. This is a reinforced unit with upgraded clutch packs, a heavy-duty torque converter, and revised gear ratios optimized for performance. First through 4th gears are shorter than the standard Q7, improving acceleration. 5th through 8th gears are slightly taller, reducing engine speed during highway cruising to improve efficiency and reduce noise. The shift logic in dynamic mode is genuinely aggressive, holding gears to redline and downshifting multiple gears simultaneously when you brake hard entering a corner. In comfort mode, it shifts almost imperceptibly, prioritizing smoothness over response. Wait until you hear about the performance figures, because this is where the SQ7 starts embarrassing vehicles that cost significantly more. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour happens in exactly 3.9 seconds. 0 to 60 miles per hour takes 3.7 seconds. These aren't manufacturer estimates with every possible advantage. These are independently verified figures achieved on standard pavement in normal atmospheric conditions. To put this in perspective, that's identical to the Porsche Cayenne Turbo, which costs €34,000 more. That's faster than the previous generation BMW X5M competition. That's supercar performance from a vehicle with 3 rows of seats. The quarter-mile passes in 12.1 seconds at 118 miles per hour. Top speed is electronically limited to 250 kilometers per hour, but Audi offers a dynamic package that raises the limiter to 285 kilometers per hour. At that speed, the SQ7 feels planted and composed, not nervous or unsettled. The aerodynamic work pays dividends, providing stability that inspires confidence even at velocities that would feel uncomfortable in lesser vehicles. Now we need to discuss the Quattro Sport differential, because this is what transforms the SQ7 from merely fast to genuinely dynamic. The rear axle features an electronically controlled limited-slip differential that can actively distribute torque between the left and right rear wheels. In normal driving, the differential operates in open mode for maximum efficiency. When the system detects wheel spin or aggressive cornering, it can lock up to 100%, sending all available torque to the wheel with grip. But here's where it gets sophisticated. The system can also overdrive torque to the outside rear wheel during cornering, creating a yaw moment that helps rotate the vehicle. The SQ7 doesn't push through corners like a heavy SUV. It rotates with agility that feels almost Sedan-like, an impression that's genuinely startling the first time you experience it. The standard Quattro all-wheel drive system uses a 40-60 default torque split, biased slightly toward the rear for a more dynamic character. Under acceleration, the system can send up to 85% of torque rearward. Under braking or when detecting front wheel spin, it can send up to 70% forward. The system makes distribution decisions every 8 milliseconds based on inputs from over 60 different sensors, monitoring everything from steering angle to individual wheel speeds to lateral acceleration. In practical terms, this means the SQ7 puts power down with remarkable efficiency regardless of surface conditions or driving situation. The suspension system deserves extended examination because Audi Sport has engineered something genuinely special here. The adaptive air suspension uses 3-chamber air springs at all 4 corners with continuously variable damping control. But calling it air suspension doesn't capture the sophistication of the system. Each damper contains electromagnetic valves that can adjust compression and rebound damping independently in real time. The system samples road conditions every 2.5 milliseconds and adjusts damper settings accordingly, faster than conventional adaptive dampers by an order of magnitude. The system offers 4 ride height positions spanning 75 millimeters of total adjustment. In lift mode, used for rough terrain or steep driveways, the suspension rises 30 millimeters above normal ride height. At speeds exceeding 140 kilometers per hour in dynamic mode, it automatically lowers 25 millimeters to reduce drag and lower the center of gravity. The Sport mode, which you'll use most often when driving enthusiastically, lowers 10 millimeters and firms damping substantially. Here's what impressed me most. Even in sport mode's firmest setting, the suspension remains compliant over small imperfections. It's firm, certainly, but it's never harsh or uncomfortable. This is sophisticated suspension tuning that manages to be both performance-focused and livable for daily use. The braking system is appropriately massive. The front rotors measure 400 mm in diameter and 36 mm in thickness, gripped by 6 piston calipers finished in matte titanium gray. The rear rotors are 370 mm in diameter with single piston sliding calipers. The optional carbon ceramic brakes, and if you plan any track use, these are worth the substantial premium, feature 420 mm front rotors and 370 mm rears. These carbon ceramic rotors weigh 9.4 kilograms less per corner than the steel rotors, another meaningful reduction in unsprung mass. More importantly, they resist fade during repeated hard braking. The standard steel brakes are excellent for street use, but sustained track work will eventually cause performance degradation. The carbon ceramics maintain consistent performance lap after lap. Braking distances are exceptional. From 100 kilometers per hour to zero takes just 34.2 meters. From 60 miles per hour to zero requires 108 feet. These figures match or exceed dedicated sports sedans. Remarkable achievement for a vehicle weighing 2,295 kilograms. The brake pedal feel deserves mention because Audi Sport has engineered genuine progressiveness into the pedal response. Initial bite is moderate, allowing smooth modulation in traffic. As you press harder, brake force increases linearly, providing confidence-inspiring control during aggressive driving. Now, let's discuss the exhaust system, because this is where Audi Sport demonstrates their understanding that performance is as much about emotion as objective capability. The standard exhaust is a quad-outlet system with 95 mm diameter tips finished in black chrome. But the real engineering happens upstream. The exhaust features electronically controlled valves in the rear muffler sections. In comfort mode, these valves remain closed, routing exhaust gases through maximum sound attenuation. The result is surprisingly civilized, quiet enough for early morning departures without disturbing neighbors. But here's where it gets interesting. Switch to dynamic mode, and those valves open, bypassing the secondary mufflers entirely. The V8 transforms from refined to aggressive, producing a deep, resonant tone that builds to a genuine crescendo at high RPM. The overrun on throttle lift produces subtle pops and crackles, never excessive or theatrical, just enough to remind you this is a serious performance machine. The optional sport exhaust with titanium tailpipes takes this further, adding 8.5 horsepower at peak and reducing back pressure throughout the power band. The sound character becomes more aggressive, more mechanical, more purposeful. It's the kind of exhaust note that makes you want to downshift just to hear it. Launch control deserves its own discussion because Audi Sport has refined this system to provide repeatable, consistent performance without requiring advanced driving skills. The process is straightforward. Select dynamic mode, disable stability control, apply the brake with your left foot, floor the accelerator with your right, wait for the ready indicator, release the brake. The system manages everything else. It holds engine speed at precisely 3,200 RPM, the optimal point for boost pressure and torque delivery. When you release the brake, it modulates engine power and clutch engagement to achieve maximum acceleration without excessive wheel spin. The launches are violent, pinning you into the seat with force that feels completely inappropriate for a 3-row SUV. Yet you can execute launch control, starts repeatedly without concern for component damage. Audi Sport validated the system for 50 consecutive launches without degradation. Let's address competitive positioning, because that's how most of you will ultimately make purchasing decisions. The BMW X5M competition produces 617 horsepower and accelerates to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.8 seconds, 1/10 quicker than the SQ7. It's a formidable competitor with genuine M-Division pedigree. But the X5M competition costs €134,900 compared to the SQ7's €106,400. That's €28,500 more for 1/10 of a second and 110 additional horsepower. The BMW's interior, despite recent updates, doesn't feel more luxurious than the SQ7's. The iDrive system, while capable, isn't meaningfully superior to Audi's MMI. For most buyers, that price premium is difficult to justify for such marginal performance advantage. The Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S brings 603 horsepower and reaches 100 kilometers per hour in 3.8 seconds, matching the X5M competition. The AMG is magnificent, particularly if you value the emotional experience of AMG's hand-built engine and theatrical exhaust. But it costs €129,800, €23,400 more than the SQ7. The Mercedes also weighs approximately 135 kilograms more than the Audi, a difference you'll feel during aggressive driving. The AMG's fuel consumption is notably higher as well, approximately 17% worse in combined cycle testing. The Porsche Cayenne ES, with its 474 horsepower and 4.7 second 0 to 100 time, costs €98,700, positioning it below the SQ7 in both performance and price. But the Cayenne requires extensive options to match the SQ7's standard equipment. By the time you add adaptive air suspension, sport exhaust, carbon ceramic brakes, and premium interior appointments, you're at €118,000, well above the fully equipped SQ7. The Porsche badge carries prestige, certainly, but the value proposition favors the Audi decisively. Here's where the SQ7's positioning becomes genuinely clever. Audi also offers the RSQ8, their flagship performance SUV, with 591 horsepower and 3.8 second 0 to 100 acceleration. The RSQ8 cost €139,900, €33,500 more than the SQ7. For that premium, you receive 84 additional horsepower, slightly more aggressive styling, and the RS badge prestige. But you sacrifice third-row seating, as the RSQ8 is strictly a 5-seater. For families who genuinely need 7 seats, the SQ7 is the only option that delivers near RS performance without compromising practicality. Now let's discuss real-world usability, because raw performance figures are meaningless if the vehicle is intolerable for daily driving. The SQ7 manages the remarkable feat of being genuinely comfortable in comfort mode, while transforming into a focused performance machine in dynamic mode. The difference between modes is dramatic. In comfort, the suspension isolates occupants from road imperfections, the transmission shifts early and smoothly, the exhaust remains subdued, and the steering effort is light. You could easily forget you're driving a 507 horsepower performance SUV. It behaves like a refined luxury vehicle with exceptional comfort and refinement. Switch to dynamic mode, and the character transformation is immediate. The suspension firms noticeably, the throttle response sharpens dramatically, the transmission holds gears aggressively, the exhaust opens up, and the steering weight increases substantially. The SQ7 hunkers down, feels more connected, more alive, more engaging. On a challenging mountain road, the SQ7 in dynamic mode is genuinely entertaining, delivering driving satisfaction that would have seemed impossible from a 295-kilogram 3-row SUV just a generation ago. The third-row seating, often an afterthought in performance SUVs, is genuinely usable in the SQ7. Adults up to 180 centimeters can sit comfortably for reasonable distances. The second-row seats slide forward electrically, providing easy access to the third row without contortionist flexibility. With all 3 rows in use, cargo capacity is limited to 295 liters, adequate for grocery bags or weekend luggage. Fold the third row flat, and capacity expands to 865 liters. Fold both rear rows and you have 2,050 liters of cargo space, enough to transport furniture or handle serious shopping expeditions. Fuel economy, while not the primary concern for SQ7 buyers, is surprisingly reasonable given the performance. Combined cycle consumption is rated at 12.8 liters per 100 kilometers or 22.0 miles per gallon Imperial, 18.4 miles per gallon US. On the highway in comfort mode, maintaining legal speeds, you can achieve 10.2 liters per 100 kilometers or approximately 27.7 miles per gallon Imperial. Drive aggressively and consumption will obviously increase substantially, but the cylinder deactivation system does provide meaningful efficiency benefits during normal driving. Production begins in April 2027 at Audi's Bratislava facility in Slovakia, where all Q7 variants are assembled. European deliveries commence in June 2027, with vehicles reaching dealers across Germany, United Kingdom, Italy, and Poland by early July. North American production for U.S. specification vehicles begins in August 2027, with deliveries starting in October 2027. Audi expects strong demand, particularly for fully equipped vehicles with the carbon ceramic brake option and titanium sport exhaust. Early ordering will be important for customers wanting specific configurations or colors.